You on the program and just taking a look at some of the fundamentals of the budget and what we can expect from our minister. It's a tough budget for the minister. It certainly is. Many calling it the toughest one since the dawn of democracy back in 1994. But let's look at another issue. And in the first 6 months of last year, Ubiquity conducted a social intelligence data modelling exercise to assess risk to Parliament and how South Africans actually perceive the work of Parliament. Well, one thing we do know is that suddenly everybody's watching Parliament, but are they watching it for the right reasons, or are they watching it just because they're expecting some action coming out of the National Assembly? Well, the exercise mathematically identified all the issues affecting Parliament using algorithms. So let's talk to my guest now, and he works on this. It's Kaveer Beharee. He's a social business intelligence analyst at Ubiquity. Good to have you. Welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you. So glad to be here. Third year in a row for me.
It is. It's a good thing. It's a lovely thing to have you. So what we're saying and what some of the findings are is that South Africans think Parliament works well because of the delivery and credibility of the budget. How so? How do we come across this?
Right. Last year, in fact, over the past 2 years, we've been talking about this looming credit rating disaster, which doesn't ever seem to pan out, and that's largely because the Treasury is quite on top of things. We have problems in South Africa, but I think over the last since 1994 we've demonstrated a unique ability to address investor concerns. So last year was Parliament was a circus. I think we can all agree on the issues in Parliament, but the one issue that came out really positively was government's handling of the budget, which was particularly interesting because we faced a personal tax increase and a fuel levy increase, a really large one. South Africans are paying attention to the issues, and I think they were quite positive towards the budget last year.
Good. Now, let's look at some of the numbers. I mean, what is it showing us when we talk about this study? What did you look at and what did we find?
Right. So what we do is we analyze all the millions of tweets and Facebook posts and article comments that you see online. And we use a sophisticated technology and data mining methodologies to actually make sense of it. People don't speak in hashtags anymore or keywords. So it requires quite sophisticated quite a sophisticated effort to actually make sense of it all. So what we did was we looked at all the issues relating to Parliament from the eyes of South Africa. And we found that South Africans are really switched onto not just the political issues, but the economic issues as well. And I can tell you as a former financial journalist, that's something new. Over 10 years ago, no one really cared. Yes. They worried about syntaxes, and that was probably about it.
You're right.
But today they switched on. They understand that credit ratings is a thing. They understand it influences their lives. And I just wanted to get back to the initial point that you made about Praveen Gordhan facing the toughest budget since '94. He probably faces the easiest budget since 1994. We understand the issues, the risks are quantifiable, and he knows what needs to be done. We know there's going to be a combination of increasing revenue and cutting expenditure, but the challenges have somewhat shifted. He's going to be a lot more explicit about government spending. Fitch last year made explicit comments about the lack of detail regarding the support package for Eskom. Today, he's going to have to sort out those issues.
Yeah.
It's not just about what we're spending, it's about how we're spending it and how it's going to be funded. And South Africans, believe it or not, are paying attention to these issues as well. So I think the minister knows exactly what's required of him this afternoon.
Yeah. I suppose also with analytics and with the advent of social media, I mean, it is much easier to read and find out what the people want. I mean, you can take into account, you just switch on a Twitter feed and everybody's opinion is out there, and you can understand what people are saying, what people are thinking, what people want and what they don't want. Do you think it's taken into consideration at all?
One of the most difficult things a company, a government, a board faces today is understanding and balancing the expectations of all stakeholders. Up until now, we did this pretty much like an art. Today we've got the numbers to actually back those up. So for the very first time in history, we can actually rank stakeholders, measure affinity between different stakeholders and different issues, and actually prioritize our resources according to the numbers. It's not just an art anymore. there are hardcore numbers that we could actually work from, and that's fantastic.
It is very fantastic. But just wrap it up for us quickly. I mean, I just find it so interesting what some of the studies saying that the report provided in numbers how bringing debate to Parliament has impacted the reputation of the House. In a good way or a bad way?
It's been in a very negative way, and that was a bit surprising for us because I always felt that better debate is better for democracy. But the manner in which the debate's been carried out was not positively perceived, and I guess it wasn't constructive in many ways. If debate is constructive and leads to action, that's fantastic. But what South Africans are saying is that it was not constructive and it just disrupted proceedings.
So it was just a lot of talk, but no action out of it. But the budget, different story altogether. People have a lot of confidence in that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's incredible that more South Africans are paying attention to the meaty issues around economic issues in South Africa. That's fantastic.
Well, on your screen right now, you're seeing some of the views of our viewers out there who are talking about it. We spoke about Twitter. I always fear budget speech day because it means after the minister has spoken, I can expect to pay more for my Macallan at the bottle store. Yeah, those syntaxes we were talking about. You're absolutely right. I can almost guarantee you're going to be paying more for that bottle as well as that box of cigarettes you're going to go out and get there. Inachos saying the past few years, every budget speech was the most anticipated. We expect focus on corruption, jobs, education, health, etc. Budget 2016 hashtag. It's the hashtag that's going to be trending throughout today, no doubt. Everybody is going to be tuning in and watching it. Spending part of today with industry colleagues for the budget speech and discussions. Everybody just anxious. Eximius Native, I think that's your name there, writing on Twitter about his views on budget 2016. Another tweet from Stanley. What's in budget speech? Hope or disappointment? I can perhaps answer that for you, Stanley. This one is going to be a bit of a tough one for all of us. It's not going to be the people's budget, that much I can promise you. I think this one, as we've heard from a lot of the economists saying, it's going to focus very, very much so on how to fix the markets and the economy. And I think agent provocateur may have it right here. Expect tax hikes. It's going to be a different or difficult period going forward for the majority of South Africans. That's agent writing in on Twitter.